Hey guys. Whew. Today is a very emotional day for me, and this is my this is my second time recording this video, but the first time was a couple days ago and something didn't seem too right with it, and so I didn't edit it or anything, and so I decided to make a new video basically today. So that is what I'm doing. Whew. But like I said, we just gonna have a chat today, and it might be a long chat, but yeah, we just gonna have a chat today. So today's a bit emotional because today marks 1 year since I went on this self-discovery healing journey. I've been very emotional since last night. Like, I have been talking to God, and like I said, I recorded this video prior and I like changed my mind. I was like, I'm not gonna post it. And last night I was talking to God and I was just like, can we just keep this between me and you? Like, I feel like I don't want to share all of this because it's been such I can't believe I'm about to cry on camera. Hold on. I'm back. Because it's been such a transformative journey for me that I don't think anyone will ever understand but God and myself, because we the ones that have been going through it, and he's been keeping me. He kept me through it. So I was just like, I was writing my journal. I'm like, can we just keep this to ourselves? Like, everyone doesn't need to know. And that's when he really convicted me last night. Or was it, yeah, last night. And this was at like 12 in the morning. So I wanted to share some of my journey, but also to share something else that he shared with me that might help you on your journey. So a year ago today, I decided to join a 14-day fruits and vegetable raw vegan challenge. And last year on this time, or prior, I was feeling very overwhelmed, and I was just lost, I think is the word. But the word I've been using was very much unfulfilled, but I think I was lost. And now that I put things into perspective, I didn't fully know who I was, and it impacted everything else that I did. And so I was unfulfilled. So the root was being lost, and the feeling that I felt was unfulfillment. And so I didn't know how to navigate that. And I remember going into my kitchen on like the 4th or the 5th of November last year, and I cried. And I was just like, God, I don't know what else to do. I don't know why I feel the way I feel, but you need to take over, because I just do not know where to go from here. I've been doing everything that people recommended. I've been working out every day. I've been reading. I've been doing everything. I was going to therapy, but I still felt lost. And although it helped me thus far in my journey, I still felt lost. And so that's when I did, like, I literally wiped my tears, walked into my bedroom, turned on YouTube Live, and that's when I saw the person that did the challenge, and I signed up, and it was $197. So it was very much an investment. Like, I just watched it, and what he was talking about the mental clarity that you would get being closer to God, learning more about yourself. That's what intrigued me. It was like, you just listed everything that I said I've been going through. And so I signed up for it. And it was like no hesitation. I was just like, we're doing this. So I don't know if like God answered my prayers that fast, which I think he did. because he used that challenge to push me into a isolation season. And it was in that isolation season that he transformed me into the Onika that you're seeing today. Of course, that has evolved over the year, but this is a very emotional day for me because it's crazy how a decision you make can change your life. Why am I getting emotional? Hold on. The last time I was wearing makeup, but I didn't cry, and I didn't cry because I wasn't going deep enough, and I think that's why God had me re-record this video. Whew. Okay, we're back. I can't believe I'm gonna be on YouTube crying. Anyways, it's been a very transformative journey for me, life-changing as that, because not only did I experience internal and physical transformation, but I experienced a transformation with my relationship with God, and that impacted my entire life. That shifted my whole mindset, my belief, like every single thing that you could think about was impacted. And so it was only supposed to be a 14-day challenge, and after the 14 days I had so much transformation that I decided I wanted to continue. I didn't want to go back to eating meat because I just loved how my skin was feeling, my body was like feeling externally and internally, and my mind was just at a mental clarity that it's never been. And it was on this journey that he healed some trauma and some wounds in these 14 days that I didn't even know I had. And so I decided to continue. I prayed and I asked him, I was like, do you need me to stop? Do you need me to continue? And I heard silence. So I took that as continue. So I continued like that challenge, that raw fruits and vegetable only, no cooked meals, no alcohol, only water, coconut water, no sugar, no salt, nothing. Like literally lettuce, watermelon, like it was specific fruits too. So it was like I had a list and it was just water, watermelon, nothing cooked, nothing. And so I continued that for 90 days. And mind you, this was through the holidays, so through Thanksgiving, through Christmas, through the New Year. No drinking, nothing. And so oftentimes, like, people would look at me and like ask me how I did it. And I'm like, it was God. Like, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. And like I said, like, there are certain things that happen that will only be between me and God, because I'm not gonna share all that. And you know, I told him that, like, I'm not sharing everything, and I think he's okay with that to a point. But throughout that 90 days, he did a lot through me, in me, and that is where I was able to develop my self-confidence in myself that comes from him, my self-worth, my self-love, like what that actually looks like for me, to be honest about the things that I want. And but also one of the biggest takeaway has been for me was developing my self-discipline. Like, I didn't know that I had that level of self-discipline in me because the temptation was real. And so every single day I had to get up knowing I was gonna face some sort of temptation, whether that was internally or externally, but I had to just fight through it. And so I developed this fighter in me, this discipline in me, this focus, this consistency, this ability to say no in me that I didn't know that I had. And so I remember going to the New Year, and this is where the story kind of gets emotional when you see me today. I remember when I went into the New Year, I had a list, a set of goals, and God has just like done exceedingly abundantly above all like everything you imagine. Like, yeah. So one of my goals was to be more comfortable wearing my natural hair, because authenticity is really important for me. And so So, as you can see, I'm here with my natural hair out, a little fro. And this is probably the first time I've ever did my hair and like tried to get some curls and it came out like looking decent enough for me to wear it. Like every other time I would be so sad and just distraught. Like I have a pretty good length on my hair, and so when I do the curls, it always either get flaky with the products that I use, or it just comes out really weird. And so I did these yesterday, the Bantu knots, and I took them out this morning, and I was just listening to someone I watched on TikTok, his like morning Bible study, and I was just like, oh my god, this came out so well. So I put some earrings in and just kind of made myself look cute, because I'm like, it's our 1 year celebration. But I remember that being a goal on my list in the beginning of the year. And now we're going towards the end of the year, and this is the first time I can say that this is a goal. And it just happened to be on this day. It's something that I was working on throughout the beginning of the year, but it really hits different today. So that's why I feel like I wanted to record this video to tell you, one, don't ever give up on whatever goal you have. Just keep trying and just be your authentic self, because like I said, like that's important to me. And it's not that I haven't been being my authentic self. I just think there are parts of me that I have purposely not included, which is a part of my authentic self, because I don't know, maybe because I'm not as confident in that area, or I don't know how others might react. And so it's a process and it's a journey, and that's what I have to tell myself, to allow myself to grow and develop the way that I know that I am supposed to. So that's that. But anyways, it was in these 90 days that God it was in these 90 days that I finished my guided journal, which many of you know I published in April. It's called Journey Within. It's inspired on my own personal journey of my self-discovery, my self-growth, and my mindfulness and self-love. And I started journaling. I've been journaling since I was a kid. Like I used to write poetry and that, but I really started journaling about 2 years ago. And I wrote like the questions out initially when I started, but I remember the past year in 2022, I had to be very intentional about how I was journaling, because it got to a point where I didn't know what to say. Like I was just journaling about my day, and I'm like, Onika, I think journaling is a bit deeper than that. Like just saying today was good, I did this, and like crossing it off. So I began to be a little bit more intentional about how I journaled. So I knew there were still parts of myself that I wanted to explore that I still haven't yet. And so I decided to come up with a question every single day or every other day that I journal, and journal on that specific question. I think I did it at night, because that's when my mind was calm and I could be a little bit more vulnerable and honest with myself. So I did this, and the questions helped me get a little bit deeper. And of course, this was an advice that I got from my therapist, and she really helped me understand that, you know, journey as well. So I remember just journaling some of these questions, and they got me so much deeper than I could have ever gotten if I just like was just writing what happened in my day. Like, come on, Onika. And if you do that, there's nothing wrong with that. You got to start somewhere when it comes to journaling. But to go deeper and know and be able to identify the root of some of your issues and some of your pain points, you have to go deeper. So I created the journal and I left it because it wasn't time yet. So I created it in this time and I left it. I also started a book in this time that I left because the timing. But I published my journal in April of this year, and it's one of my biggest accomplishments. I'm gonna show you guys, hold on. So it's called Journey Within, and at the top it says, it's time for me, a guided journal for self-discovery, healing, and growth. and I'm gonna just show you guys a sneak peek. So there's 6 parts, and on each part there is a title, and there's 10 questions in each section that goes deeper as you go through each section. You don't have to do it in order. I get that question all the time, but this is my biggest accomplishment of this year because it's something that I birthed. And if I'm being quite honest with you guys, when I was growing up, I was always told or under this I was always under this impression that I was never creative, that if you can't draw, if you can't paint, if you can't do any of those things, you're not creative. And so I was growing up, since I was a child, I was just raised with this mindset that I'm not creative. And so this book is different for me because it was me expressing a part of my creativity that I didn't even know I had in me. And yeah, so this is a version of my creativity that I've newly developed, that I've always had in me because I've been writing since I was a kid. But this version of it I've never expressed. So this biggest accomplishment that came out of my journey this year. Another one is me. And I don't even know how to put this in like terms, but I transformed so much this year, you guys, that I couldn't even recognize myself. There was a time when I thought that I outgrew what I knew about me, and I had to relearn who I was becoming. And that was extremely hard because in those seasons you have to let go of things, people, and places that no longer serve you. And even though I had already started doing that when I started the challenge, it was hard. It was very difficult. And so I've watched myself grow at the fastest I've ever seen, and I know that was the grace of God and my work that I put in paying off in just different areas that I didn't expect it to. And number one, like I lost 30 pounds during the 90-day challenge. So after the 90 days, I lost 30 pounds after I completed it. So I lost weight in my face, mostly my face, and in my on my body. And this in itself was an area where I had to re-love myself the way that I was now, because nobody talks about it, but when you lose that much weight that fast, you become insecure about yourself, because now all my clothes don't fit. Yeah, I could go buy new clothes, but I'm still holding on to the clothes that I like. Like, I'm like, I like this pants, but like it's not fitting. And that's a part of what I want to tell you guys about today, which is what God gave me last night, was when you're growing and when you go through a transformation, there are some things you have to let go of and leave behind. And sometimes we try to take all of that with us. We try to take the things we don't need, the people that no longer serve us, the places that we're not supposed to be at. We try to take that up with us in our seasons of change, or when we're changing and transforming, because that's familiar, because that reminds us of a person that we once knew. And so I had to let go of a lot of that. Like, when I tell you guys, I did like an extreme house cleaning. Like, I watched this video on Netflix, or this documentary on Netflix called The Minimalist. And that's how I wanted to live. Like, I don't want things in my house, in my life, that I do not need. I don't want to be harboring things that aren't serving me because, oh, it's cute. No, if you don't have a purpose, you got to go. So it was at this time where I had to, you know, I'm getting a lot of people like, oh my God, you lost so much weight and this and this and that. And so it was a lot for me because of a lot of attention, and I do not like the spotlight. Like, let me tell y'all, a couple years ago, I was off social media for 2 years, and I'm gonna make a video on this, but if God didn't tell me to come back on social media, I would be on social media, because I am the person who, I could be a background person. Like, I get the work done, I do all the things that I need to do. I could be my business, a quiet business in the background without even being like full on social media. I would just like write, travel, and just grow. Like, that's fine. But God convicted me, and he told me I was settling for a life that he did not have for me. He said you want to sit in the comfort of what you know because you're afraid to step out in what you don't know, that will actually bring out the full potential that's in you. And when he told me that, I was like, you're right. It's uncomfortable for me to do all that. And so I had to learn to relove myself. Okay, I've lost weight. Okay, how do I want my image to look? How do I want to dress? How do I want to feel? I had to go through all of that. And not just losing the weight, it's maintaining the weight. Because now I'm like, I'm not eating meat, but I got to make sure I'm getting all my nutrients. I got to make sure I'm getting the protein. I'm going to make sure that I'm eating enough to sustain my body at the stage that it's at. Because the challenge for me wasn't just about being vegan, and now it's still not about being vegan. It's about taking care of myself and being that best, healthier version for me. Because it works for me. I tell people that. I say it works for me. It might not work for you. I don't recommend it to everybody. I'm not going to tell everybody that, because everyone has their own health issues and whatnot. It works for me, and that's why I'm doing it. I don't know, 5 years from now that might change, but it works for me. And so I had to work through that. I had to grow through this transition in every, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And I had to learn how to let some things go, how to let some things, some people, and some places go. And that's what, I want to talk about today to end this video off, is what a word that God gave me last night that might be for somebody that is going through this season. I'm just gonna read it because I'm such a journaler. Like, I just write down everything that I get. Here's what he told me. You need to let go of the old you, the you that has 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And I'll explain that to you guys. The you that is scared to step into what the Lord has for you. It will be easier if you embrace being a child of Christ totally and initially. It will get harder, but stop trying to fit in where you're meant to stand out. That is for somebody. Stop trying to fit in where you're supposed to stand out. It's time to walk in the light I've given you. It's time to release the word I've given you to my people. Not haphazardly or half and half. It's time now to walk the walk that you have been doing with Jesus, mostly in public, in private, but unashamed, unapologetically, and uniquely. Because there's only one of you. The people who are for you will accept you how you are. The ones who aren't will leave. Walk and then run. And the verse that he gave me after he said that was Isaiah 40, verse 31. But those who hope in the Lord shall renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary, and they will walk and not faint. And so when in the initial part of this, when I talked about I have 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and that comes back to the authenticity piece, because there are parts of me that I'm hiding in some areas. Not because it's bad, but because I don't know how to navigate it. It's uncomfortable, and so I'm staying back into what's comfortable. And so he's saying that you are a child of God first in everything that you do. It's not work, then God. It's not your business and then God. It's not social media and then God. It's God, and then everything else follows, right? And so he's saying you can't have 1 foot in going back and forth on one here, one there. No. And so he's trying to mold in me this to being my full authentic self where he's in me and I do all these things that he's given to me. And so I think that's one of the things that he's talking about with that area, but also the fact that I'm in a season of transition right now. And so I'm doing things that the old me used to do to give me comfort. Like I'm going back to watching some movies, I'm going back to listening to some type of music that I didn't listen to, eating some type of, you know, like unhealthy or vegan meals and stuff. And he's trying to show me like, you don't need to go back. You don't need to, what's that verse? Do not ponder on the things of the past, something of that sort. I know what scripture I'm talking about, but he's saying that I don't need to look back anymore. I think it was Isaiah 43:18. Do not remember the former things. Yeah. Isaiah 43:18 talks about do not remember the former things. Let me read that scripture actually. NIV says, forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? So what God is really trying to tell me, I started off, you need to let go of the old you. That's how he started off to me. You need to let go of the old you. And so I'm in a space where he's saying, forget the former things. So forget the old things that you used to do. Forget the old. Let go of the old. And that's what he did when he was pulling me out of the isolation season. He's saying, Onika, forget everything you knew. You are stepping into a new. So he said, forget the old things. Do not dwell on the past. Do not dwell on the past. And I feel like I've been doing that in some shape or format. Not always intentionally. I think the other thing was stop trying to fit in where you're meant to stand out. I think that speaks for itself. Like, stop trying to fit in where you're supposed to stand out. And when he said to walk unashamed, unapologetically, and uniquely, that stood out with me. And I would even add uncomfortably in there because I'm very uncomfortable in this season that I'm in. But I know my journey is continuing and he's doing a new thing. That's what I wanted to share to someone that might be going through their season. You've heard my testimony. You've heard how God used me in my isolation season. You've seen now the fruit. A fruit that has come out of that season through me, that he's used to do through me. And now you're about to see something else, and I myself is not very sure, but I just know that I'm bringing my authentic self all around in every area. So that is what will be portrayed when I come on this camera, but also faith in this season to know that this is what God has called me to do, and I have to be obedient to that regardless of how I feel. So if I show up and I might not be looking my best or feeling my best, I'm still gonna show up. And you know, I'm a very confident girl. I'm confident in who God has called me to be. So when I get emotional like this, I know it's teaching me something. And so it is teaching me that authenticity piece that I'm talking about, but also it's teaching me how to communicate my feelings, you know, identifying the root and using my feelings to identify the root of the actual issue, which I now know. So I hope this encourages you guys in every way. It's not how I pictured the video going of me talking about my journey, especially crying, but but you know, crying is a sign of strength. That's what I tell myself. It's a sign of strength. I just want to say, letting go of the old version of yourself is extremely difficult. Your self-healing, your self-discovery journey is going to be a pain in the... So give yourself time to process, to release the emotions, but also talk to God. He already knows what you're going through. And you just need to speak to him, seek him, and he will comfort you in your time. He loves you. And always be your authentic self. We're over here trying to embrace this natural side of me. Like, I love my natural hair, but it's very hard to comb. My face, it's very hard to comb. And so I use that as an excuse. And now I know it's been an excuse. Now I found a path, a little quick hairdo. So keep trying and don't give up. You got this. Thank you for tuning in. Like, comment. I would love to hear about some of your journey. Bye.